Let's take a portrait photo and transform it into a magical creature. If that sounds fun to you, just stick around. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So this is perfect if you want to have a fun and magical portrait in your journal, but you're not confident in drawing faces. I was inspired to paint over a face by Dina Wakely, and she has a really fun video showing you how to paint over magazine images to make them look fun and artsy. You can find that video linked below in the description box of this video. As much as I enjoyed Dina's video, when I tried her techniques, they automatically turned into something else, something that was a lot more me. So that's the process I want to take you through in this video. So as you can see here, this is a portrait of Emma Watson. I found this on Pinterest, and I will link that pin for you below as well so that you can print out the exact same photo and do what I'm doing. This is the photo printed out as it is in black and white. And what I did with this one here, which is not absolutely necessary, but I just think it makes my life a little bit easier, is as you can see here, I've made it a lot lighter and I've reduced the contrast as much as I could. And then I printed the image again. But as I said, you can do the same thing I'm doing with this one. You might just have to use a little more paint or whatever you're going to use to color the face. I'm going to leave this next to me as a reference photo because once I start going over this with colors, I might not see all the shadows as well as I'd like to. So then it's really good to have this next to me. I'm going to be using Neon Color 2 wax pastels. These are by Caran d'Ache. These are water soluble. Instead of these, you can use anything that's water soluble. So that could be acrylic paints, that could be watercolors, markers that are water soluble, whatever you want. And I would encourage you to experiment and to see what works best for you. So I'm going to start like Dina started by coloring in the shadow here on the face. And I'm just going to color in actually the part that's darkest here. So I'm just going to go over, and this is just regular copy paper, by the way. So I'm just going to scribble over the part here. I'm leaving out the eyes and the lips. I will shade those separately. Just kind of do that. And then I'm going to go over this with some water. I have my water jar here. And I want to be sure to not have my brush super wet, more damp than wet. And I'm really doing my best not to be precise here, which is such a struggle for me. Seems like I want to do everything precisely, although I want everything to be more artsy. Struggle is real. Okay, she looks very strange right now, but that's okay. Then I'm going to dry this layer because I don't want this to tear since this is only copy paper. Next, I'm going to take my skin colored wax pastel and I'm just going to go over all of her face, also the parts that we have already shaded, leaving out the eyebrows and leaving out the eyes and the mouth. It's really hard to see here where her face actually ends. That's why it's good to have the guide here that can help us. And again, I'm going to go over this layer with my damp brush. And to blend everything a little bit more, I'm going to take my titanium white. You could also use gesso for this or any kind of white that you have. And I have a damp brush and I'm going to take just a little bit from the tube directly. And I'm just going to add that. It's going to look horrible at first. But you'll see here that it starts blending. Kind of smoothens out the skin. adding a little bit more water to my brush when I see it's too dry. Obviously, we have lost a lot of her features, so we're going to have to add those back in. I want to add a little bit of white up here. It doesn't have to be exactly like it is in the photo. We have our artistic freedom, obviously. But because of this underlying shadow, we always still have that to guide us, which is really cool. And we could just keep going back and forth, shadows and highlights and shadows and highlights until we are happy with how it looks. We're like completely losing her eyebrow at the moment. Then I'm going to take a very fine tipped brush and I'm going to, first of all, give her a little brighter highlights in her eyes. And then I'm also going to paint here the whites of her eyes, because that will just make the whole portrait look a lot more painterly. Then I'm going to take a water-soluble colored pencil in brown to shade her eyebrows. Then I'll take a black one or a Stabilo All pencil, whatever you have, and you can go in and do the pupils and her eyelashes. This eye looks a lot smaller. I mean, it does here as well, but somehow it looks weird, doesn't it? So maybe I'll just try to enlarge it. This might be a disaster now by adding a little bit more white. And then making the pupil a little bit bigger as well. And I'm not happy with that highlight. Then some more shadow here where the eyelid is. This is not going as planned, so I'm going to go back in with some white. We're gonna make this work. We're not giving up. Go back in with the black Stabilo and fix the eyebrows again. Okay, let's do the lips. I'm going to start off with this English red. I'm just going to pull some of that color down to the lower lip because the upper lip is always darker because of the way it's shaped, because it's going inwards. Then we need her nostrils to be really dark. You can barely see those. And then we can add back some more shading, like in the ears. I think the ears are really pretty much the hardest thing to draw. And we could even kind of outline the face a little bit so that it's not just all one blob together with the neck. And you see here at the tip of her nose she has some white, so let's add that as well. I'm looking at this here to see where the most intense highlights are. Can add a little bit of shadow here so that we see more of her nose. Can add some more up here, down here, down here, and let's add some more here on her neck, and here on her chin. And I want to define the lips a little bit more, so I'm taking that same color that I used for the lips and my very thin brush. I'm going to go out here where the corners of the mouth are. Add some dark brown in the middle of the mouth. See there, it's always the darkest right there. Next, I'm going to color her hair. So I'm using a brown wax pastel. And I'm just following the lines of her hair. And I'm just coloring the bits that are darkest. Then I'm going to again mix that with my white. Maybe I'll first start blending it just with the water. Then I'll take some of the white, start blending that in. And here where we see the highlights there, we can add some more white. And just kind of play with that. And then I think I'll add some more of that brown. And then maybe we should give her a little bit of color on her cheeks. It looks more blotchy on the camera than it does in real. And then I'm also going to go over her sweater with my brown wax pastel. Once she is dry, we're going to cut her out. Okay, so now I have this shape that I could glue in my journal. And now it's time to start with the magical part. So first I want to think about which journal page I want to put her, because I want to know how much space I have on either side of her head. I'm going to add her to a page to the beautiful journal I received from Honey. I will again link Honey's Instagram below. She is not selling these, unfortunately. I've already picked out a page, which is this one here. So she's going to go here, and I want to make sure I know how much space I have. So I'm going to just mark this here. So I'm going to cut this cardstock roughly the width of my page. It would actually be best to use watercolor paper for this. I thought this was, but it's not, but it's okay. It's going to be fine. Because now I'm going to give her some antlers, because I think those will look really cool. So if you don't know how to draw antlers, you can just look it up. Just Google maybe whimsical antlers, and I'm sure you can find some sketches. I'm just going to try to wing this. I think I'll put them behind her head. So I'll start off with the approximate shape. That, and then let's see if we can make these look like antlers. They're not quite even. That should be okay. And now I want to color these in. I'm again going to use my water-soluble wax pastels. I'm going to take it directly from the brush. Actually, I want to start with this nice reddish brown color and just color all of the antler. And I'm not worried about going outside of the lines because I'm going to be cutting these out. Even if you don't have watercolor paper, it's best to use some sort of thicker paper for this. It'll be much easier when you cut them out. And it's nice when the paper is not so flimsy. Okay, I'm going to dry this first layer. Then I imagine that the underside is probably, because of the shading, a little darker than the top side. So I'll just add some darker brown on the bottom. And here where they are attached to the head, I think also should be darker. And because these are magical, I'm going to just add some like golden yellow wax pastel. blend that a little bit. Then maybe a little bit of cross hatching for some additional shading here on the bottom. Wow, this is coming out so intensively because the paper is not quite dry. And because she's magical, I think she definitely also needs some gold. This is my Van Gogh watercolor paint. So I'm just going to paint in the tips. Yeah, I know you can't see it. I'll show you so that you can see it in a moment. So I'm just kind of painting the tips of the antlers in gold. And then we could add like some marks here along the bottom. You could go as crazy as you want with your magical creature. You can add so many colors. I'm keeping mine quite neutral. So here you can see the gold. So I'm just going to cut these two antlers out. So once I have these cut out, I'm going to go around the edges with walnut stain distress ink to get rid of all my white edges here. That also adds to the shading really nicely. So when we put her on the page like this, that's what it looks like. So next I want to add some elements to the background. I have this mandala stencil. I want to say it's from Action, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I've had it for a while. You can use any stencils. I wanted something round to go behind her head, and I want to stencil that in white to make it really pop. So I'm gonna hold this where I want it to be. Then I should probably take a washi tape and tape this in place. And then I'm taking my titanium white acrylic paint again and my flat stippling brush and do my best to make it a crisp image by first of all not putting too much on my paintbrush. And second of all, what you always keep telling me is to just go up and down rather than smearing it in circles like I would usually do. This just takes so much more patience. Let's have a peek and see if this works. Okay, this is going to require a lot of patience. Some really opaque spray paint would be really welcome right now. Okay, I don't need to worry about this middle part because I think Emma will be covering that. Oh, nope, not all of it. Just some more right here, and then I think we've got it. Okay. Okay, what does it look like if we move her a bit down? Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. It almost looks like she has like this lace halo. And then the antlers. Actually, this looks too much like she has a bonnet on her head. That's not what I want. So let's try to reduce that a little bit. So I'm going to take my titanium white again and a bigger flat brush, and I'm going to just do this. Don't panic, it's okay. And we're going to fade the white out to make it look more like she's glowing. So from here on out, I'm just going to add water to very gently fade this out. And why not add some of this gold to it as well? Just very lightly. You can hardly see it on camera. Basically, the page just kind of has a little bit of glitter. So I'm not happy with the background yet. I want to add some more contrast, and I want to do that by writing something. I'm going to use this, but I'm going to change one word. So I pledge allegiance to the warm, fragrant summer nights, the sweet voices of the crickets singing in the dark, the never-ending magic of the, I'm going to say Red Sea, because I've never been at the Black Sea, to all the creatures who are living here and not with me. And I'm going to write this with a black ballpoint pen so I can be sure it won't smear later. So I'll just add some cardboard underneath so I can write. This is not about this being totally legible or beautiful or anything like that. I'm just doing it so that I have something in the background. So I'll take these off and yeah, I'll leave her on so that I know where she will be. Then I want to try one more time to get the glow around her. Again, using the titanium white. Yep, I think that worked better. Next, I found some very small feathers. Well, if you don't have feathers, then you could find an image online and cut that out, or draw your own, like we did with the antlers, and then cut them out. But I want to use these feathers and I want to have them dangling from her antlers. You could add colorful feathers as well. I'm just sticking to my neutral tones like that. So I'll glue those down right away. Why not decorate her antlers a bit more, hopefully without making it look like a Christmas tree. There's a gold sequin, maybe a soft pink would be cute. Yes, I think it would. There's another gold one, another pink one, and maybe even some small beads. I have these very soft pink ones. Okay, so I glued those on, and I also want to add some more gold to her hair and maybe her face as well. So this is the gold I use, Van Gogh 803 Deep Gold Watercolor. So I want to first add some to her hair. And then we could also draw a little heart on her cheek in gold. And we can even add some shadow in gold on her face, maybe on the nose. She's a magical creature, so she needs gold. This is quite scary because, of course, you're thinking I could be ruining the whole thing, and I could actually. But at the same time, I'm thinking I just want to have fun with this, not worry too much about what can go wrong and just go for it. Wow, it looks so streaky in the camera. The reflecting light makes it look so strange on camera. It really doesn't look that bad in real. But if it did, if now I thought I ruined it, I could always go over it again with white and with the skin tone and with shadow. Okay, I'm going to add some more white. I think I'm going to outline her features here a little bit. It looks very white on camera. It is not as white in real. And I think I'll also take a brown colored pencil and just add some more lines for the hair. I'm not sure Emma ever considered being a magical creature like a deer, but maybe she should. I hope you try your own magical creature. Have fun with this. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!
The great yellow sun is reflecting in your deep blue eyes. The day has begun. You spin around, you laugh to yourself, and I see you shine in every color.